And the case law makes it clear in Lisenby and other ones, if there's a probability of substantial harm or death, then individuals can actually interfere and it wouldn't be obstructed. So the case law, I just want to point out that distinction, but otherwise I have nothing else.
Okay, so at this time the court's going to grant the appeal and reverse the convictions based on its First Amendment protected conduct. And Mr. Arm, you can prepare the court.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Joe.
He needs to be released from custody. So
He'll be released.
we'll
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ready, sir?
No. That is an arrestable offense.
I'm sorry.
It is.
You guys kind of got the idea, right? So I'm attorney Michael Eline. I'm an attorney licensed in California and Texas. And you guys have been following my channel for the last several months while my friend Chille's been locked up. And I've just been out trying to help him out and get the word out about the false arrest and the bogus conviction. And, was basically ostracized by a lot of people, saying, why are you supporting this guy? And well, I support justice, guys. And as you know, Chille and I don't agree on everything, and nobody should ever agree on everything. That would just mean you're a mindless drone. But one thing we do agree on, and that's justice. And so that's what this was all about. And so you saw in that video, by the way, hello, everybody. Welcome to my show. Thanks for sticking it out with me on this crazy journey that we've been together on. And of course, you saw at the very end there, the Nevada, it looks like a bailiff or a marshal, was really upset because one of the people, I guess, in the audience was trying to give Chille a fist bump or something. And that was apparently an arrestable offense. And well, you're saying, well, how could that happen if he's been declared innocent or his appeal has been granted? Number one, how can he not just be immediately released? Number one. And number two, how could it be an arrestable offense for someone to give him a fist bump? And obviously, you're not supposed to clap your hands or anything like that. That's improper courtroom decorum. And people are typically told these things before the court starts their session. So that probably is an arrestable offense. So we're going to get into some of the reasoning and why this is happening. And of course, as you guys know, I'm an enemy of the prison industrial complex. I think that we have a very corrupt prison system that's geared towards creating taxpayer-funded jobs by funding prisons and keeping them filled. And we've seen lots of arrests in the past where we've seen corrupt judges that are making sure to keep those prisons filled with juveniles and other people. So we know what happens, and we know that money talks, and that is the currency of the world, right? Money. And so we know that there are some people, especially public servants, who will sell their own family out for a couple of bucks. So that's kind of where we're at. So really quick, before I get into the rest of the show, I'm going to go ahead and do my normal kickoff.
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
Hey, Ray Nomadic, I was thinking the same thing. I'm hoping that he gets a big fat juicy steak, and a lot of people may or may not know he was enjoying some time with his family. He was out, I guess, at a swimming pool the other day. I've heard from him a few times in the morning of the morning after he was found not guilty or his appeal was granted. I got a call from the Clark County Jail, but it hung up. And so I was like, man, what is going on? Why is somebody calling me from the jail? So I knew it was him, and I was trying to figure out, why the hell is this guy still in jail? It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But just keep in mind, every state is a little bit different, and the courts have upheld a reasonable amount of time to process someone out. And so I was a little concerned that because he'd fist bumped that dude, that they were going to try to hit him with some kind of new charge. And maybe that's what was going on. And I was already calling one of my appellate lawyer buddies on an emergency basis, because I don't really know Orem, you know. I'm a California guy. I'm not a Nevada guy. I'm an activist, and I support freedom and liberty. And so I was just doing my civic duty to try to support Chille, because I believe in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and natural law. So here's what we'll do is we'll get into this. Chille's doing actually pretty good, guys. I'll try to answer some questions for you. So Chad Crum, thanks for coming. Let's OTVO, thanks for all your support, bro. I really appreciate it. Now, and then, so AgeGo says, did you hear about the jail in Arizona suing the city for not arresting people? Well, yeah, I mean, sure, because it's the prison industrial complex, it's the military industrial complex, the educational industrial complex, the great Leviathan, controlled by large corporations like, you know, Larry Fink and BlackRock and the Soros family. I mean, these people, you know, they support a system of centralized control over every aspect of your lives. And organizations like the WEF want everybody to be chipped. They don't believe in natural law. They don't believe in human rights. They don't believe in individual rights or free thought. And this is what's being pushed in our highly politicized public education system that is designed to dumb people down. And that was brought over here by the Rockefeller family to create a nation of workers, because they didn't want a nation of thinkers, and basically, you know, creates a bunch of mindless drones. And if you get those types of voters, you'll end up with a state like California. So we'll just move on into the show. And Jeff, I don't know who listened to the song yet, but I know that Chevy and a bunch of people have created some really cool songs for Chille and me. And I appreciate all y'all's support. I hope that you guys all understand something. From the get-go, I got involved in trying to help out Chille, and now kind of that mission is over. So I'm sort of reevaluating, do I even want to be doing this anymore? Because I do have a law firm, and the type of law that I practice is totally different than the type of law that probably Chille and a lot of his followers need help with. I only handle catastrophic injury cases, cases that involve like super tight handcuffs where your hands get amputated, or you get shot by a cop, or you get run over by a truck or a city bus. And I used to do appellate work in criminal defense, and that's sort of what got me into this. But as being a freedom fighter, I felt obligated to help out Chille. And so I know a lot of people have been blowing up my phone. And you're like, "Where's Chille? Where's Chille?" So I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you guys about this one. I don't know if I'm going to go live this weekend, guys. It's kind of like an anticlimactic, like I ran a marathon and finally been vindicated a little bit, but I'll share this with you at least. And, you know, we'll revisit where I want to go with the channel and stuff in the future, you know, if you guys want me to keep doing this. But it was, it cost my firm a lot. You know, I got trolled, people coming by my work, people trying to get me in trouble with the authorities, calling the Nevada prison system, lying to them, telling them that I'm practicing law in Nevada, which I was not doing. I had a client who was locked up in a Nevada jail, who I represent in several cases out of state. And these assholes that don't like Chille were contacting the jail, contacting the court, trying to basically get me in trouble for trying to help a guy who was falsely accused and falsely convicted. So it just reminded me a lot of how, you know, the Bolsheviks in the Soviet Union, or the French revolutionaries under Robespierre, the frauditor people are no different. These people they suffer from what's called bloodlust, and they don't care if you're innocent. If they don't like you, they want to try and cancel you. And that's the problem that I have with the Marxist government that's in power now, is that they don't believe in individual rights or freedom. They believe in punishing their enemies and rewarding their friends. And so and this is an example of what's happening. We know that we were illegally targeted by the FBI back in, I believe it was in March 4th, that report came out, that the FBI has been illegally using your metadata with a public-private partnership with your banks, illegally, without getting a warrant, to try and classify people who buy Bibles, who purchase firearms, who shop at Dick's or Cabela's, Christians, white males in particular, anybody who supports the concept of freedom as a potential domestic violent extremist. And we just heard the other day that this Ray Epps guy had been on the phone with Nancy Pelosi, like, I don't know, for several times over the several months prior to the January 6th fiasco. So it makes people think that there's just like this big conspiracy with these politicians to make sure that they have a single party system. And we see it manifesting itself in the justice system, where people who are cop watchers, people who are unpopular, people who are trying to stand up for their rights and freedoms are being ostracized and attacked by the for-profit media. And of course, we see that judges, they're political creatures for the most part, and they're swayed by this. Police unions invest a lot of money into political campaigns. Judges are elected officials in many states and municipalities, are they not? So I asked that as a rhetorical question, but we already know the answer. So as an activist and as a lawyer who has family and who cares about our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and someone who believes that our rights came from an all-powerful creator and not from the government, it's terrifying to me to see people in charge like this. But occasionally we have found that if we use the systems that are available to us, such as the media, or in this case, YouTube, that we can make a difference. And so during the course of Chille being locked up, we had retired law enforcement come on my show and expose both the arrests and the falsity of the arrests. We had a lot of experts come on. We had a lot of conversations about Judge Zimmerman and how we felt that that was an improper arrest. And ultimately, it became all over the news media. Newspapers picked it up. It got picked up by regular television. And you can't tell me for 1 second, obviously he had a great appellate lawyer, but you cannot tell me for 1 second that courts and judges aren't swayed by popular opinion. I guarantee you that Judge Leavitt realized that there was a popular outpouring of opinion, and probably her staff and other people saw these videos and recognized that Zimmerman was out of line, and that was an emotional-based conviction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get into what happened. Why wasn't he released? Why wasn't Chille just immediately released? And some of you in the sidebar have already sort of spoken out about that, but we're going to get into it a little bit. And hey, Miss Constitutional Rights, good seeing you. It's always wonderful having long conversations with you, and when I'm trying to have a show and explain to everybody what their rights are, but I'll try to have better ones in the future. I just love having you here. By the way, everybody, as you guys know, I'm more of a libertarian, and, half my audience are probably Trump supporters and the other half probably support Dementia Joe, but I don't really care about your politics. I care about your love of country and your love of the Constitution and your love of the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence, because ultimately those are the things that really matter. When I grew up, both parties pledged allegiance to the flag, right? Both parties did. Now one party burns the flag, and only the other party waves the flag, but for political purposes. So even our flag has been politicized. So we kind of see what's going on in our country, just major division. And we saw with the Chille DeCastro arrest and conviction, how the frauditor people they hate him so much that they just ignored the obvious about so far two arrests, the one with the crime scene tape and this one. They're both BS. They're both total BS arrests. The guy should have never been arrested on that. And they were just trumped up nonsense charges. And so, but we'll get into it a little bit. Hey, so Jeff says, hey man, I still want my country, not these idiots. Yeah, no kidding, man. And I agree with you, brother, Jeff. And that's why I, was trying to do this show, to try to help put pressure to try to help get Chille out. And in the process, guys, we were able to raise a significant amount of money for him, and we were able to put major. So the Chinese, I think it was Confucianism. They have this statement that when one door closes, another one opens. So as a result of what happened to Chille, BZ Watchdog and I and Brick Jonesy and several other people, we were able to expose this corruption in Nevada that is without parallel, even in Los Angeles. Over 900 internal affairs complaints that were rubber stamped by their Citizens Review Committee. But the light at the end of the tunnel is the Citizens Review Committee law made all of those police investigations against corrupt cops public record. So as a result of that, the very first case that we uncovered was one where the police department was trying to hide and conceal a situation where a former officer tried to have his wife assassinated, right? This plays right into what Chille talks about how cops abuse their wives way, way above national average. It tried to have his wife assassinated with a hitman that was an undercover agent, I guess. And the police department tried to bury that for over 2 years. They said that there was still an active investigation, which was a lie. And we saw the FBI do that with the Hunter Biden cases. You know, they waited until the statute of limitations expired for a lot of the big ones because they're all political appointees by the Biden administration. Most prosecutors are political appointees. Come on. So we see that, they'll try to let the statute expire, or they'll play a bunch of games like that. We'll see stuff like that happening. So in this particular case, Chille was found to be not liable, to be not criminally responsible. Now, I haven't done the research, and again, I'm not a Nevada attorney, so I'm not going to try to practice Nevada law, but I'll have a couple of my buddies who are associates, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, come on, they're just in trial right now, who are Nevada criminal defense attorneys, and one of them is an appellate guy, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it seems to me that in most criminal cases where I've won a criminal defense case, not guilty doesn't mean you're innocent. So just to lay a little foundation, not guilty doesn't mean you're innocent. It just means you're not guilty. So typically what I would have to do is file a finding of factual innocence and get the court to grant that. And now you're innocent. So that's just, me, my Marine buddies, people who have a real innate sense of honor, who've been falsely arrested or accused, will go the extra mile to get those motions, those petitions filed and upheld. But typically most people are just glad that they're not guilty and they walk away. So I'm not sure what the legal status of Chille is, if he's considered not guilty or legally innocent, but my imagination makes me believe that he's innocent because it's a complete exoneration. But if anybody knows, who in the sidebar, let me know. Hey, Stacy and Stacy Parenti, thanks for coming by. And Stacy, I know I owe someone a phone call. I've been extremely sick the last couple of days. Right now, I'm hopped up on Tylenol, codeine 3, and a bunch of anti stuff to keep me awake. But man, as soon as this thing's over, I'm crashing out. I'm really tired. I mean, that was really, guys, I got to tell you guys, that was a marathon because I work a regular full-time job running a firm. And then I was dealing with all of these videos to try to help Chille because I just felt so obligated personally to try to help him. Because what kind of a lawyer are you if you're not going to devote your time to also being an activist? Because a true lawyer is somebody who knows the law and means to keep it well, like Thomas Aquinas said. And so, you can make all the money in the world, and I've had plenty, but you're never going to be truly fulfilled in life. Everybody, just please listen to me. You're never going to be truly fulfilled in life unless you do something for a cause bigger than yourself. So please remember that about Michael Eline. That should be what they put on my gravestone. Now, hey, thanks, Gloria. I appreciate that. And Miss Constitutional Rights, I appreciate that. I am God. I am God. Please don't make it a big political fest. A lot of people support Donald Trump and a lot of people don't. And I supported his Supreme Court justices because they made it possible for the Bruin decision and the Second Amendment to be protected for a few more years. But obviously flooding the country with illegal aliens and not allowing legislation to be passed to prevent them from voting, I think we all know where this is headed. You're going to have a politically dependent class of people who came up here for free everything, and their families will probably be on welfare for life. And in exchange, they'll vote for policies that take away your natural law rights, because most of the people coming here come from Roman civil law democracies. They don't understand the concept of a constitutional law republic, and they were not forced to become naturalized citizens. They, like my wife did, and other people who had to go through the process, take a test, learn about the Constitution. So I just don't want it to be a big political fest with all of us guys. We need to be concerned about natural law and our basic fundamental freedoms being eroded by a manipulation of our constitutional republic, because it was designed, for an honest and free people, but it could be easily manipulated by a dishonest and unfree people like BlackRock or the World Economic Forum. So basically, I'm going to get into some stuff with you guys real quick. So this is a little bit older of a story. It's from 2018, and it talks about the growing prison population in Nevada, and it hasn't changed. It's still going up, guys. But basically, inmates in Nevada are staying behind bars on average for about 20% longer, 20% longer than the rest of the country. So this is really interesting. I don't know if you guys can see that. Give me a bunch of ones if you can see it. And now, Miss Constitutional Rights, he was released. Okay, I just want you guys to know, Chille finally was released, and I've been in contact with him, and he really, really, he wanted me to express to everybody, how much he loves you and appreciates everything y'all have done for him, showing support, especially his core followers who didn't put their tail between their legs and run. I hate cowards. If you're going to stand for something, like Ben Franklin said, you either hang together or you will all surely hang separately. I hate cowards, and I hate fair weather friends. If you're all in for someone, you need to be all in, or you're worthless. You're not somebody I want to associate with. Now, at Age Go, thanks for the free Chille comment. And of course, Paul H is talking about something about Trump being a convicted felon. I mean, come on, dude. We all know that, Paul, that those were all politically trumped up bullshit charges against Trump. We know that the misdemeanors couldn't fly, so they had to come up with felony ones. The whole thing was a complete political show trial by George Soros prosecutors. That's why half the country doesn't believe those were valid convictions. And I don't believe they were valid convictions. It's obvious to anyone who's a lawyer who has just basic experience that those were political show trials. And that's all it was. And I'll tell you something else. Trump's got enough dirt on the FBI and the CIA right now to take those entities down. All of these prosecutors knew in advance that none of these cases were going to hold water. They'd get their convictions and they'd be reversed. It was a show trial to whip up their voters, the voters that want free everything, the ones who are flooding across the border right now. They want to have security. They're going to keep getting their free stuff. So if their politically appointed prosecutors go after them and get a bunch of convictions, that makes them look good. So anyways, hey, thanks, Brett. I appreciate that. Brett Ray just gifted 5 memberships. And guys, by the way, I've been putting a ton of really, really cool stuff in the private membership area. And I still want to do the law study thing where I can teach you guys the law. But right now, I just haven't had a real strong outpouring. I've only sold 1 copy of my book, How I Became a Lawyer with No Law School. So I should probably start doing my own version of a trifold or something. I guess you guys want cop cards and trifolds more than you want to learn how I became a lawyer prior to getting a law degree or that kind of stuff, or undergrad. But hey, awesome. SWE Observer, you're a member for another month. That's awesome. James Forbes got one. Thanks, guys. Now, I know once Chille's back on, I'm probably going to lose a lot of you guys. And that's okay, because the original purpose wasn't really to try to, honestly, I don't know of any lawyer who could do YouTube videos like a personal injury lawyer and make money, because nobody wants to watch a video about someone who got in an accident. So I've when I go to YouTube, I look for like Navy SEAL stuff, Marine stuff, and anything that has to do with like natural law, the Bill of Rights. And, I like the cop watcher stuff because you'll catch videos of, the cops doing like throwdown weapons or trying to plant drugs on people. And it's just like, wow, man. Like, what the hell is going on in this country? Oh, great. And Gloria's going to order one of my books. Well, thanks, Gloria. So let me just, real quick, kind of get into this with you guys. So right now, we know that at least since 2018, that Nevada is like a 20% longer average jail sentencing than other states. And that just makes you wonder, like, man, when these cops ask questions and people don't respond, something happens like this, right?
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
So that's kind of what's going on there. If the cops in Nevada don't like you and they ask you for your papers, you better get some, or you off to the concentration camp. Yeah. So, hey, Dawood, awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. And so Dawood Asha, So my associate, Alan Beck, who's also a former Marine, and he is the preeminent Second Amendment rights lawyer in the country, as far as, well, at least in California anyways, as far as I'm concerned, and definitely in Hawaii, helped Dawood Asha get a CCW issue handled. And so Dawood was reaching out to Alan going, hey, Chille's out. And by the way, Alan also collaborated with Chille to help him with his appeal. So everybody give me a bunch of ones for Alan. Alan, I know, worked with Chille's legal team, and Alan is a terrific guy, really loyal. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. Like I said, he was a Marine. So one of the things that you'll see with me is that I'm real big on loyalty. And even if I disagree with you, I don't care. I'm never going to agree with everybody. I mean, most people say that I'm a little right of Attila the Hun, but everybody knows that I'm reliable. And if I agree that I'm going to make it happen, I have no choice. I have to make it happen. That's why I'm always hesitant to take on new cases and new causes, because I've almost gone bankrupt in the past for my activism. And so my wife and family has had to reel me back in. And that's why I try to teach my kids how to be entrepreneurs, help me with my YouTube channel. So, because that is the platform, guys. It's the platform is you have to be out there doing the videos and making a statement and getting an audience and a following. That is how you change the system. And I'm really, really impressed with Chille, what he's done. And I'll tell you, look, a lot of people don't like his attitude. They think he's a jerk. They think he's loud. They think he's obnoxious. And that's fine. But Chille's learning and he's maturing with time. And he'll be ready to take office at some time. And I think that these are all valuable lessons for him. And now he's basically become a martyr. He's gone from the legend status to the myth status. Give me a bunch of ones if you think Chille is now in the myth status, because I think that he is. I think what happened to him was one door closing and another major door opening. I think that he's probably going to end up having a movie made about him. I think he's probably going to end up getting into politics. And I think that with a little bit more civility in some areas, I think that he could be a game changer in the political world. And I think he kind of already is. Now, and I think you're right. We should end qualified immunity. Hey, thanks, Brick, for showing up, buddy. Brick Jonesy's here in the house. And again, I'll tell you something else, guys. I really want to give a shout out to the Texans, because out of all of the auditors and cop watchers, it's those Texans who were all in for Chille from the very beginning. Brick, Miss Constitutional Rights, Carolina, Fort Worth, I think also probably, I'm not really sure. She wasn't really too, but I think she was. I think all of them, BZ Watchdog, they were really, really out, all in for Chille. Whereas, you see like, man, I don't know what it is with you Easterners, you're Northeasterners, you're just so mealy-mouthed and weak. It just doesn't make any sense. Do you guys have the ability to stand for anything? Or is it just you put your finger in the air and whatever way the wind blows, that's what you support? Never understood that. Hey, dog, good seeing you, BZ. So what we'll do is we'll get into a little bit about incarcerated persons release procedures in Nevada. And it's different in every state, guys. But in a nutshell, what's going to happen is once you are found not guilty, or in this case, exonerated, there are going to be some administrative issues that come into play. And over time, over hundreds of years, case law has been passed. And so some jails actually face civil liability for releasing someone. Like, for example, in Nevada, I believe you have to prove that if it's at night that you have a ride that's going to come and pick you up, or if it's early in the morning. And so like I was telling you guys earlier, I got a call from the Nevada Department of Corrections, like around 06 or something. And as soon as I picked the phone, it already had hung up. But I knew it was Chille because I know that number. And I was like, man, this fool should already be out. So then I started doing research, and then I realized by looking at my streams, like all you guys are asking, why is this happening? Why isn't he out? Of course, my first thing coming to my mind is, well, sure, they just want to make the extra couple of bucks. So give me a bunch of ones if you think that's the real reason. That the Department of Corrections just wants to keep those warm bodies for an extra day or two because they can bill out an extra $1,000 a day or whatever they're billing. It's a racket, guys. We have more people in our prisons than they do in China. And China's got like billion something people. It's a racket. The prison industrial complex is a racket. They try and find poor black people in particular who are unable to defend against misdemeanors, who are unable to defend against infractions, and they just lock them up. And you saw what happened to Chille. How many people do you know who can afford to spend $30,000 or $40,000 to appeal a misdemeanor? This is how the government destroys people's lives. They do it to the poor people. They know the rich people can afford lawyers. So they target poor people. They target blacks, Latinos, and they target them. And they absolutely do. And I know it's true. And of course, they also target people like me and Chille who stand up for our rights. So I just wanted to lay that foundation for you. Very, very angering to me. If you really want to, fix the problem, stop targeting people based on their economics. So the bottom line is any incarcerated person scheduled for release and not being transferred to another jurisdiction will be allowed to make 3 telephone calls to plan for a safe and successful release. Okay. And so my guess is that call that I received that morning was probably one of the calls that one of Chille's 3 calls. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to get it in time, or, my cell phone had a shit connection. But man, it was really, it was a double-edged sword. I was like, damn, at least I know he's alive, right? Because we know now that the jailers were targeting him. And towards the end of my jail visits, and I didn't tell you guys this before, but I am going after the Nevada Department of Corrections. As you guys know, I represent Chille in out-of-state cases that have nothing to do with Nevada. And so I was approved, went through a background check through the jail system to be able to have face-to-face visits with my client so I could bring him confidential documents to have them signed. But all the frauditor scumbag pieces of garbage on YouTube started calling the guards in the prison and the courthouse, trying to get me disbarred, claiming that I'm practicing Nevada law without a license. And ultimately, I was barred from seeing my client in jail towards the last few weeks. And so I will be filing a formal complaint and a public records request against the Nevada Department of Corrections. But obviously, I would have never said anything like that until my client was out, because we do know that jailers target prisoners. We do know that they'll get other prisoners to beat them up, to knock their teeth out, to rape them. We know that it happens all the time. We know it. We know it does. I've sued for it. I've been a civil rights lawyer for a long time now, 20 years now in practice. It happens all the time. Now, any incarcerated person may complete paperwork to voluntarily stay in custody for up to 16 additional hours. Now, this is typically because, they want to be discharged to a treatment center, like a druggie. But the incarcerated person can revoke his or her consent to be discharged as soon as possible as well. And upon request, a person who has suffered an arrest that did not result in a conviction and is released shall be provided with appropriate judicial counsel forms to petition the court to have the arrest and records sealed. Now, so in California, you can also do that. You can petition to have your records sealed. But I'm telling you right now, if you want to be real gangster, like what I used to do for my so-called sovereign citizen friends, that's what they used to call cop watchers back when I was young. They just called them sovereign citizens. Now it has a totally different meaning. But back then, that's the way it was done. We would get the record sealed, but we would also file a petition for a factual finding of innocence. And that's the true exoneration. So a true gangster, that's what you want to do. So all you guys who think you had your record expunged and that means you're in the clear, no, you are not. The only way you're truly in the clear is if you have a complete exoneration by finding a factual innocence. So if you are in California and you need help with that, I don't really like doing them because I end up spending more in my attorney time than what I can make in attorney's fees. So it's like another one of those, almost like a pro bono kind of project, but I can teach you how to do it, guys. I can teach you how to do your own stuff pro bono if you want to learn. That was the goal, in me becoming a lawyer, is I was so sick and tired of being abused by the system that I figured I'm just going to become a lawyer. And at least now I know how to fight back. And I see so many of you guys who don't have the blessing that I had of a good father who helped support me, even when I was sleeping on park benches because I was too proud to ask him for money, that secretly he was always trying to help me behind the scenes to make that happen. And I know that not all of you guys have that. So you have me. And so I'm paying it forward. If you guys want to learn, I'm here to teach, but I'll need you guys to stick around because it's really, really hard for me to do this. I get yelled at by my wife because I'm spending all this time when I should be tutoring the kids. So here we go. So here's how it works. Release processing. So when you're going to get processed out in Nevada, here's how it works. They want to verify your identity. They want to verify that all the release paperwork is present, correct, and complete. And by the way, this has been upheld by the courts. This isn't like just some arbitrary and capricious rule that they made up. They also want to verify that there's no outstanding warrants, detainers, or DL-310s that were issued. They also want clearance by qualified healthcare professional. Like, they don't want to get sued. If you have some health condition, maybe you got stabbed or something, and they're gonna like release you with a hole in your lung. It's probably not going to happen. So they've got these valid reasons, that they can come up with. The problem is they can also be used as pretextual reasons if they don't like you, and they can also just use it to try to generate more money, which I believe is the bottom line. They're just trying to screw you taxpayers by generating a couple more bucks. I mean, just think about Chille's arrest. Probably from his arrest, that probably cost about $1,000, processing another $1,500, court, lawyers, just from the public side, that probably was around $10,000 right there. His own lawyer, about $30,000, over a misdemeanor, plus his time in jail. I think they pay the jails about $1,000 a day per prisoner. So 4 months in jail. So that misdemeanor cost the taxpayers plus Chille, I don't know, over $100,000, right? So think about that. So that's all money that's being used to create government jobs, police unions, and we know that the unions are going to vote for the political party that supports their union and gives them more taxpayer-funded benefits. And that's the problem, is you have the servants. They have become the master. That's why I support abolishing the administrative state and returning us back to a normal society where you have an elected sheriff and people police themselves. We have a Second Amendment, and we teach people morals. We teach civics, and we have homeschooling and homesteading. We don't have a bunch of woke activist school teachers destroying the minds of our children and trying to sexualize them. So that'll be another story for another day. Now, the next thing that you want to do is they have the right, the jail has the right to do a cell inspection to determine if there's any damage. It's sort of like your landlord, but it's like the Hotel California, right? Because you can never leave even if you paid your fine, right? And they also need to be able to release any personal property or funds. For example, a lot of people donated money to his commissary, so that money would get refunded, probably to him, since it's considered to be his money. The incarcerated person has to sign release forms, and if applicable, they have to be notified of future court dates. Then they dress out in civilian clothing. They're allowed to make 3 calls, and then they're released from the facility, or to be transferred to a hospital, transported to a hospital. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what happened with Chille. Now, I personally believe that is total bullshit. I believe that right there on the spot, he should have been released. They should have taken those torture cuffs and all those shackles off of him. He suffered severe indignity, and the way that those marshals and bailiffs treated him was atrocious. I agree that people shouldn't have been clapping, but I think they were clapping for the judge, to be honest, because we finally ran across a judge who supports the Constitution. But don't think for a minute that all of the outpouring on YouTube and all the videos that we did and pointing out the injustice by Zimmerman, don't think for a minute that did not influence Judge Leavitt. I guarantee you that influenced her decision. Come hell or high water, it certainly did. And give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Now, Joseph Doe says they had known for months that his release was possible. They could have done it. Well, unfortunately, Joseph, that's not the law, though. And I'm with you. I think it's total BS. I think it was a great indignity that he suffered. Totally unacceptable. Now, look, it goes beyond just misdemeanors and stuff like that, guys. So I'm a supporter of the Innocence Project. A lot of people, I don't really share a lot of the stuff that I do with people because I don't like prison mail. I'll just leave it at that. But because I can't do it. Try getting like 30 letters a day from people who've been in prison for 5 years and then try to do your job after reading a couple of those. It's impossible. Anyways, so we know about Nevada that from 20 people exonerated in Nevada, that the criminal justice system does convict innocent people, and it happens all the time. Hey, thanks, Chevy. I appreciate that, man. Chevy just threw me a $50 super chat. That means a lot. That's going to be a new gi for my son. By the way, guys, my son took his first took his first Muay Thai kickboxing class today. So as you guys know, I'm a bit of a judoka. I've been in judo since I was 6. And of course, BJJ. BJJ, basically just judo. All Brazilian jiu-jitsu really is Japanese judo newaza. It's ground fighting, which we call newaza. There's not a lot of randori. There's not a lot of throws. But my son, he's been in judo because I want to teach him the traditional Japanese culture, the traditions, bowing, showing respect to your uki and your superiors and your training partners. Just that basic stuff. Protect your training partner. And the problem is since he can't throw me and he likes to spar with me, my son will start striking, and he just doesn't know how to strike. He doesn't know how to use his torso. He doesn't know how to bob and weave, but he's got a good solid punch and a real strong needly fist, right? So we had him take his first Muay Thai kickboxing class today, private lesson. And I think he did a really good job. My wife took him because I had to work, but I got some video. It's super exciting to see him doing that. So thanks, Chevy. Maybe I'll get him some Muay Thai kickboxing shorts if he wants to stick it out. And by the way, for all you parents who are, if you're having issues with your teen sons in particular, I highly recommend that you get them in kickboxing or judo, in particular judo, because of the discipline and bearing that judokas have. It's unparalleled. That training and discipline, the art, the warrior art, the warrior ethos that the Japanese samurai had is sort of influenced judo so much. Now, justice. So we have Walter Cantrell says justice scales are tilted with currency. Boy, you got that right, brother. But guess what, man? We saw that we can play their own game against them. We saw that Chille supporters, along with help from guys like Brick Jonesy and BZ Watchdog, we were able to raise a significant amount of money for Chille. And we were able to raise a tremendous amount of media influence. Look, I guarantee you guys, if nobody had said anything, Chille would still be locked up. Right now, if you go on YouTube and you type in Clark County Detention Center, the whole page is filled with Chille DeCastro videos. Trust me, they're feeling the heat. And once they get my ethics complaint against the head jailer, they're going to feel the heat even more. Because I don't stop either, guys. I am freaking pissed. Because what they did by disallowing me the right to see my client and telling me, oh, you've got to file a court motion and you've got to find local counsel in order to see your client. So literally the way they stack you is they'll say, you have to find a local attorney and associate in with them on this case. Yeah, but I'm not licensed in Nevada. I don't want to be pro hoc vice. I have other matters that I represent my client on in other states. I should have the right to have face-to-face visits. Every other state that I visited clients in, no state prison. This is a county jail. No state prison has ever come up with such a bullshit rule. And when I talked to one of their jailers, you know what they said? Well, they're just worried because a lot of the out-of-state lawyers are family members. And I'm thinking to myself, who gives a F if it's a family member or not? If it's a lawyer, they have the right to see their client. It's irrelevant whether or not it's a family member. Look, a lot of family members represent their family members. I consider any one of you guys who are falsely arrested, as soon as I represent you, you're part of my family. You're not just a file with me. You're my friend. I'll look after you. And so that was really, really irritating to me and really upsetting. I'm very angry about that. But you'll notice I didn't say anything about it because I knew all those scumbags that hate Chille would just use that as dynamite to try and torpedo him and try to just, take all the wind out of you guys' sails. So there's a time for war and there's a time to not say anything. Yeah. Now, Ronda Gibson said, I did 3 years for the same thing as Chille in Virginia. I still suffer from PTSD. Yeah. And trust me, he's going to have PTSD for the rest of his life over this. And the way it was handled was hideous. It was atrocious. And look, I know the guy, he comes off, a lot of people don't like the way he does his auditing. A lot of people think that he's a jerk. I don't really care. You have the right to be obnoxious. You have the right to be a jerk. The whole point is, when you're testing the government, is you have the right to be that way because you're testing them. You're pro-testing. You're in favor of something. Testing, you're pro-testing. That's all you are. You're just testing your public servants to see if they're going to uphold their constitutional duties under the Bill of Rights and under natural law more than anything else. Just basic civility. So now Dawood Asha says, people are so fake, Michael. That's why I don't have any friends. I hope we are friends. You're a real one, Michael. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Look, a lot of you, none of you guys really know me that close, but it is touching to hear that people do feel that way about me, because that is my MO, is I just believe in being an honorable person and just keeping your word, and it's the Marine Corps ethos. Always be early. If you tell someone you're going to be there early. Don't be on time. That's weak. Just little things like that. People know they can count on me. And, and I know, I know that I was able to make Chille's life a little bit better when he was locked up, because he was not allowed to see anyone, no one, face to face, I think, except for his appellate lawyer. But I doubt his appellate lawyer came to the jail much. Probably cost him $2,000 just to have his lawyer show up. So everything that I did, with Chille, I did out of the kindness of my heart. I don't expect any money for it. I'm not looking for any pats on the back. I can pat myself on the back because I followed the code of honor that my father taught me, and that was reinforced by judo and martial arts, which is loyalty above all else, and the Marine Corps as well. It's just the way that we're trained, guys. Hey, thanks, Stomper. I appreciate it. Remember for a month. Hell yeah, man. I appreciate y'all joining me. By the way, guys, I do have the flu, so I'm kind of out of it today. And I can feel my meds are starting to wear off. But I really wanted to do this with you guys, because right now Chille's not online. I know that he's wiped out. I know that he probably wants to get a big fat steak. So I'm trying to sort of fill in the gap until he gets back on. I did chat with him earlier today. I'll probably come on as a guest with him at some point, on the show, just to do a victory lap with him. But other than that, I'm not trying to steal anyone's thunder or anything like that. I just am really grateful to all of you guys for supporting justice and standing tall for justice and putting aside any personal feelings politically that you guys may have. Again, I know I've got Trump supporters and I got Sleepy Joe supporters, and I really appreciate it that you were able to unite around a cause and set your politics aside. It really means a lot to me, because he's a good guy. We've all made mistakes. We've all done dumb stuff. And I'm just grateful that you guys, and at least on my channel, were able to set aside any personal angst or feelings and just support justice and a just result. So I'll just look in the sidebar real quick and try to answer any questions, and I'll probably bone out because I'm just kind of wiped out. But so Katie says, tell Chille we love him. I would say there's a high statistical probability he's probably watching this right now, so I'm sure he probably knows that, but I'll tell him. And then it says here, with my family, it was, if you're not early, you're late. It's caused me a bit of anxiety. Yeah, of course, but you should always be early, Willie. I mean, being on time doesn't mean anything. Being early shows respect. And you can, stage your gear and get squared away and help other people that are stragglers. That's what leadership is, guys. That's what leadership is. Not ostracizing and insulting people, but finding people in your troop that maybe screw ups and trying to correct them in a way that's honorable, where you don't make them look stupid in front of other people. Now, oh my God, BZ Watchdog he thinks that he's a Nevada police officer again. And he's asking me with a super chat, he's asking me, where
are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers? To the consequence come with you.
Oh, that is the best one. So I hope you guys like that too. So the evolution of this show was like the last month of Chille's incarceration. I found this video about the concentration camp and where are your papers. Now I guess it's just part of the show, but it is really funny. Yeah, and it is a dungeon, by the way. Rhonda says they put an innocent man in the dungeon. So wrong. Sorry to you, Chille. So guys, that's another cool thing about what happened here. The positive things is that I actually did a video on Chille's channel about what is a dungeon. Because, all the frauder people are trying to say, oh, jail's totally different from a dungeon. He's over exaggerating. They're handcuffs. They're not torture cuffs. And I'm scratching my head going, do you know how many clients I've represented who had to have their hands amputated because of tight handcuffs. And these moron idiots, I think most of them are like Trudeau supporters from Canada. They say, oh, those aren't torture cuffs, eh? Those are just handcuffs. You don't know what you're talking about. Do whatever the government says, eh? Because if you don't, that means you're anti-government, eh? Do whatever they tell you, eh? So that's kind of how it goes. It is torture. And I did a really cool video about it, and it explains the whole thing. It's on Chille's channel. It's a couple months back. But I go into what's the difference, like Mont Bailey, the different types of jails. Really, the only thing that made a dungeon any different than any other place is that it's dark and it might be in a basement. But we also know that there were dungeons in the British Tower of London, and they were in the Tower. So, and those were also called dungeons. So all the frauditor Canadians that want to be legalistic and argue about it, no, you're wrong. A dungeon can also be in a tower above ground. So, you know, and a jail is really no different than a dungeon. When you look at the instrumentalities, you look at the way the jailers will get other convicts to beat you up or rape you if they don't like you. If you think that that's okay, then you guys probably should not be on my channel. Now, a cage is a cage. That's right, Brick. A cage is a cage. And if any of you guys have ever been falsely locked up or falsely imprisoned, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it is the worst feeling in the world. And it's disgusting to see how so many people joined law enforcement for good reasons and ended up coming close to their retirement and basically were forced to toe the blue line because they really need that pension. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of law enforcement and the system itself, is that it's geared towards shutting up whistleblowers and preventing honesty and decency from prevailing. And so I'm asking all of you guys today on my channel to please help me form a committee to be able to start collecting those 900 personnel complaints that we know exist, complaints about Nevada police officers, because I'm almost positive we're going to find some about Officer Bork, and we're going to find a lot of other stuff that the government's been hiding and covering up and concealing. And we need to put light to the cockroaches, and we need to shine a light on the rats and cockroaches and clean up the system. Thomas Jefferson, I think he advocated a bloody revolution every 70 years. I believe that's what he said. The tree of liberty should be fed from time to time with the blood of patriots as well as tyrants. And he was right, because what happens is power gets accumulated, like the CIA, for example, or the guy who ran the FBI. He used it as his own personal blackmail machine for years. And they still have buildings named after the guy. And he was blackmailing presidents. He had pictures of them banging little kids while they're married or with their wives, and used that to stay in power over multiple administrations. And basically these administrative agencies use blackmail as a way to stay in power and create more pensions for themselves. So just keep that in mind, guys, that we need to clean house. And this Chille DeCastro case shined a huge spotlight on it for everyone to see. And now, because of what happened, they exposed themselves with their Citizens Review Board. Now we have the ability to start getting those complaints and exposing them. But the problem is it costs a ton of money to get that evidence. So because it's body cam footage, I assume it's probably going to cost us about $500 to $600 per complaint. So times that times 900, it ain't going to be cheap. So the first thing that I want y'all to do is look for guys that you know are corrupt cops, and we'll start trying to get personnel files about them first, because we know for sure they're corrupt. And typically what happens is when you do these public records requests, you'll see that that officer was likely acting in a conspiracy with another officer, and you'll see slowly there's like this big spider web of corruption that will be exposed as we do these records requests. So, and that's right. So Richard the Lionheart says, exactly right. Freedom is earned by those who are willing to spill their blood defending it. King Richard the Lionheart. That's right. And free Scotland. And I love your flag, by the way, there. Always being someone who supports the original House of Stuart, man. I used to live in Motherwell, Scotland, and I can't even speak a word of Scotland for like a month. I can't even understand nothing, mate. Yeah, it took me about a month to understand anything these guys said. Then, yeah, I bounced at a bar called Memories Lounge in Motherwell, Scotland, and I was a bodybuilder back then, so I bounced at a club and messed around with a bunch of wee birds, had a bunch of wee fun, mate. It was great, Jimmy. It was great, man. And I trained under Walter McGowan. He's a holder of the Lonsdale belt, so I studied boxing under Walter McGowan, and because I was a judo guy, but I wanted to learn boxing. And that's when Mike Tyson was real popular, like right when I got out of the Corps, like in the 90s. And so broke up with this chick, was bummed out, sold my car and moved to Scotland and got a chance to check it out. Looked at all the towers and all the castles. And I'm so grateful that I learned how to write in cursive, because so much of the history is written in cursive. Another example of the globalists trying to destroy the minds of children by eliminating cursive writing. It's a great way to deprive them of knowing anything about their history. Now, only the scribes will know what it is, just like the original people, like the monks. They were the only people allowed to read the Bible, so information was limited. That's what this is all about. It's just about controlling information in your mind. Now, let me see here. Aaron M. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone say. Could that lass be I, merry old soul, she sailed on the day over the sea to the sky, billow and breeze, islands, seas, mountains of rain and sun. Oh, Iron. You guys like my Scottish accent? It's a wee bit bad because it's been like 30 years, man, but it's pretty good, mate. I don't know a man named Ian, but I know plenty of men named Jimmy. All right, Jimmy. And I actually had to give someone a Glasgow kiss when I was doing the bouncing, and I almost got actually evicted from the country over that. But one of the police officers was a friend of the owner of the bar, and they kind of let me out the back. But a Glasgow kiss is a headbutt. You shake someone's hand and you headbutt them. And this guy had a knife and he was threatening one of the customers. There's a lot of like Sheffield steel, like in over there. Everybody carried a blade. It's crazy. People had, like slice marks all over them. And I was like, this dude is not going to pull a knife on me. So, yeah. So that's right, Chris. They don't teach cursive in school, so the next generations can't read the Constitution. Hello. And that's the kind of stuff that I've been trying to teach you guys, is that we have a bunch of woke Marxists basically from these campuses, these cancel culture campuses, where the presidents are all like serial plagiarizers and they're appointed based on their diversity, equity, and inclusion and not based upon their qualifications, so they can, meet some sort of test and prove that, somehow by putting people who are unqualified based upon their race or something is going to make the world a better place. And that's what's really going on out there in this world right now, before your very eyes. They're eliminating our history. They don't want you to know about natural law. They don't want you to know what the Bill of Rights. They don't want you to know about John Locke. The one thing that makes the campus elitist, the academic, upset more than anything is the concept that your rights come from a creator. Because once your rights come from a creator, they can't be taken away. And the number one platform of the World Economic Forum is to chip you and to deny the existence of a God or natural rights. And you'll see that Ari, the guy that runs the show for Klaus, also believes that no human being should be allowed to have the right of free will. Now, if you go back and look at the writings of Adolf Hitler and Mein Kampf, you'll see very, very similar writings. It's almost uncanny what's going on in this world, guys, right before our very eyes. So anyways, that is the story. You've seen now in this show today that Nevada has a real problem. They have a much higher than normal incarceration rate and incarceration time than the rest of the country. And we know that they really drag their feet when it comes time to releasing convicts and people who are not convicts who were exonerated. And so now you've learned why. You've learned about the administrative reasons. You've also learned a little bit about the potential civil and criminal liability the jail could face by releasing someone who might be potentially injured or might have a problem. So as a result, the courts have allowed these administrative procedures to occur. However, I believe that they are very, very easily manipulated and can be used nefariously. I believe if a jailer doesn't like a convict or a newly freed person, that they can use these rules to indefinitely keep them incarcerated as payback or punishment or torture. And a lot of these people who work at the jails are narcissists, they're savages and they're animals, and they do beat their wives. And those types of people are generally attracted to a career or a job such as this. Studies have shown that. And so as a result, people like us need to be watchdogs and keep an eye on these people and keep an eye on the system and hold them accountable. And that's why I'm here today, to hold the government accountable and to act as a spotlight on liberty, justice, and freedom for my audience. So just really quick, I'll try to answer any questions, and then maybe I'll go get myself a big, fat, juicy steak myself and live vicariously through Chille's great victory. And by the way, guys, I got to tell you, as a lawyer, it's very, very rewarding. Even though it wasn't my case, it's very, very rewarding that I was able to act as an advocate, as an activist for a friend of mine, not just as a courtroom lawyer, and to be able to have helped stir up so many people who are like-minded with me. And I'm really, really proud of all you guys who stuck with it and didn't run with your tail between your legs. Like Judas. You weren't Judases. You were like the loyal disciples. And I really appreciate that. So now, Scrubzilla says, how would we ever live without the police when they solve 1.5% of the crime, Mike? Well, we know that police, municipal police, have no duty to protect individuals. Their job is to protect what they call the public. And courts have interpreted the public as being municipal property, public property, that kind of stuff. So there's no general duty to protect individuals. There never has been with municipal cops. That's why we have a Second Amendment, which they're also trying to take away from us. Basically, the people that are in charge right now are the same globalists that have taken over Canada and Germany, and they flooded France, Germany, and the UK with jihadis and people that hate them. And we see that assaults against women in Norway are at a record high. And if you say anything about it, you can be jailed. It's considered hate speech to even mention that the foreigners that their government flooded into their country, who have no respect for their country or their religion or their way of life, are abusing their women. They're beating people up, burning down cathedrals. And basically they've declared a jihadi holy war against the Europeans. And the Europeans are just letting it happen. And those same people, the WEF, the Soros types, have done the same thing with the current administration with our wide open southern border. Over 20,000 communist Chinese nationals, all males of military age, just flooding across. People coming across we don't know their vaccine status, nothing. But we do know that they will change the electors with the census, and that California will go from blue to dark blue in the next couple of months. And we know that a bill was just shot down by the president that would have made it illegal for illegal aliens to vote in our elections. So think about that. Think about where this is headed. So let's OTVO. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. And then, of course, I see, by the way, guys, all the trolls that ended up in my sidebar, please zap them. We don't need these communists from Canada here. They can go burn their own flag and wave rainbow flags up in Canada if they want. But this channel is for patriots and people who love the Bill of Rights and natural law and who believe in families, liberty, and freedom. And less government means more freedom. That's what this channel is all about, guys. So, and again, yes, and Chille, thank you. Oh, dude, Chille's the man, and a member for 2 months. Thanks, Chevy. Chevy's the man, a member for 2 months. And Scrubzilla, of course, Stacy doesn't know what she's talking about. She's probably from Canada, eh? Yeah, that's right, BZ. This channel's not for suckers. Hello is for suckers. Now, Stacy says, Michael, all you've done for Chille's channel, thanks so much. And thanks to his channel, introducing me to your channel. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Look, I don't really know that I did anything for Chille, okay? Chille did it for himself. He built that channel. It's his channel. I used it as a tool to try and help him. And I believe that I was successful in my mission, but it was a team effort. It wasn't just me. I mean, he had a really good appellate lawyer, even though all the trolls wanted to attack him and say he had bad grammar or there were typos. I mean, just like these people are just so petty. Just give me a bunch of ones if you think the whole troll community, they're just a bunch of petty people who don't have a life. And I guarantee you guys, give me a bunch of ones if you know if any of them got falsely arrested, I would be the one that they'd be calling. Give me a bunch of ones if you know that for a fact, they would be calling me, because I'm the one that goes the extra mile. So just keep that in mind. Chille was able to find an inactive U.S. Marine, balls to the walls, went to war for him, because that's what I felt was the right thing to do. Never got paid a dime, never took any money for it. None of that. He tried to pay me before to help him, and I refused to take the money. So I just want you guys to understand this was just a personal thing for me because I don't like seeing injustice. It really makes me upset. Now, and I am glad too, Ralph Riley, and I really appreciate, the opportunity that I had to meet all you guys, and you guys got to meet an attorney who's like a normal person, because most of the lawyers I know you hate, and I'm sure you guys probably still just despise me, but maybe, you'll keep me around for a while, but I get it. I don't like lawyers either as a general rule, because I'm a patriot first and a lawyer second. Now, I appreciate that. Bunch of ones, petty and proven to be dead wrong after all their talk. Not that they wouldn't be wrong either way. The appeal went, yeah, that's right. Wasn't matter you. I mean, it was just like, wow. I mean, just doesn't it feel like we just ran a marathon, right? Because you guys were all supporting him and sticking up for him. And now you're just like, man, I need a break, right? So, all right. So Age Go, Brick Jonesy, Kelly Ratcliffe, Ronda Gibson, thank you. Thank you so much for showing up. And if anybody ever comes up to you and they work for the police department and they ask you questions like this.
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers? To the concentration camp with you.
So if they ask you questions like that, to say, to pull out your trifold and say, I reserve the right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment, right? You guys know that, right? All right. So I want to invite everybody to go over to the Delete Laws channel and go on to Chille's posts page and welcome him home. He did a post that he's back. Pour out some love for him. Take a look at his trifolds and his cop cards. He hasn't made hardly any sales since he's been locked up. Help him out so he can rebuild his channel. And if you guys want me to stick around, I'll stick around. I just need some ideas because now that he's not locked up, what do I really have to talk about, right? I mean, my whole goal was just to try to get him out of jail. And now I'm kind of like, what do I do now? So if you guys have any ideas or anything like that you can help me with, I really would appreciate it. Because I do sort of feel obligated to try and teach you guys a little bit about the law and how to uphold your rights. Because you don't have anybody that really cares. It's just a bunch of people that are trying to get a bunch of likes or something, and I'm trying to create a movement. And I think Chille is too. I think he's trying to create a movement, where we can take back this country, send all the illegals back, and reclaim our country. Right? Stop all this fiat currency system. Start having a currency that's actually backed by something of substantive value. Just return us back to a constitutional republic, right? Get all these big corporations and send them back to Europe or wherever the hell they came from. Guys like Larry Fink, I mean, what a jerk, saying we have to force behaviors on little children. It's ridiculous. These are my kids, Larry Fink, not yours. Take your black rock and shove it up your black rock. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, guys. I really appreciate you guys showing up for Chille. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate y'all supporting the channel. Within the next few days, maybe over the weekend, we'll hear more from Chille. And probably sometime next week, I'll go on a show, probably with Brick Jonesy and BZ Watchdog, and we'll just chop it up. And probably within the next few weeks, we'll throw a welcome back party for Chille. And then my ultimate goal is to get Chille down to Uvalde, Texas, so we can get that woman's kids back. The woman who rescued her children from the school during the shooting, and the police tried to handcuff her and prevent her from rescuing her sons. Well, her payment for rescuing her sons and escaping the police was to get locked up and have Child Protective Services take her kids away. And that's what started me on this journey with Chille. We were headed down there with Dick Heller, and instead he got locked up. And so that's what triggered all this for me, was to try to rescue that woman's kids. And so now that he's back out, that's probably where we're going to end up. And then let's see here. And the elder abuse, says Stella Gee. Well, you'll have to sue Jill Biden on that one. But yeah, this guy is totally unfit. He should have never been in the office to begin with. I could tell that he was suffering from dementia from day one. The mean, obviously, Obama runs the White House. Everybody knows that. So that's why nobody's really complaining. Now, Stomper says the game changer is back. Thanks, Stomper. He is a game changer. He really is. And I think that he's learned a lot of valuable lessons. I've noticed that he's already toned it down quite a bit. Like his demeanor is so much more humble and so much more self-reflective as a result of this, that I really do think that this has changed him. And obviously he's going to need to probably get psychological help for the PTSD. And if he hasn't already found a really good civil rights lawyer in Nevada, I recommend that he brings in Alan Beck, pro hoc vice. Just find some average lawyer in Nevada and that Alan runs that case. He probably won't listen to me, but I think that Alan Beck would be the ultimate lawyer for that case, because that is right up his alley. And then I'd be able to help Alan, because Alan and I work together. He works with my firm. So that's the only way. I'm not taking the Nevada bar. I'm already licensed in California and Texas. I have no desire to have another law license and more MCLE tests and all that crap that you have to do every year. It's a nightmare. So thanks, AgeGo. Stella Gee, I understand you support Trump, but come on, I don't want to be political here on my channel. There's a lot of people here who don't like him. So just leave the politics at the door. We're here to support natural law. We're here to support liberty and freedom. And I'm totally cool with you believing and saying whatever you want, but I just don't want to get a bunch of my audience like in some big political battle in the sidebar. Just please bear with me, guys. I'm not the government here, I do have the right to limit some speech, if it's going to disrupt our people. That's right, Walter Cantrell. Fight the good fight. That's what we're here for, to fight the good fight. Yeah, Willie B says, BZ, Michael, and Chille, the three amigos. Well, not just us. I mean, Let's OTVO did an amazing job, and Texas Gal Audits was all in, so let's give people credit where credit's due. It's just that, BZ and Brick especially, they brought a lot to the table, because Brick is highly educated. He's a historian, and BZ he's a taskmaster, man. He was getting those public records requests going, and he's done more for post office audits than anybody I've seen on this YouTube for the last 20 years. BZ Watchdog has done more to understand and expose the procedures of how local law enforcement is trampling on the rights of regular everyday people on federal facilities than anybody. So all you guys are really terrific, and I really appreciate all of you. And it says here, Kurt Bronson says the Texas cops run from a Hawaiian shirt. Thanks to BZ, the VIP. I love it. So we all love BZ Watchdog. Everybody go to BZ Watchdog's channel and like and subscribe. I know that Chille had us on a three-way text today. He was thanking BZ. So definitely BZ's got the support of Chille. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. I am really sick. I have a flu and shouldn't have even done this, but I just wanted to share with you what I know. So now you know what happened. When you get out of jail and you're exonerated, you don't just get released right away, at least not in Nevada. And there are a lot of reasons behind it, from administrative to what I believe nefarious, just to try to make some extra money from keeping someone behind bars. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know how to reach me. I've got my personal website, and there's also the business website. If you need to talk to me faster than normal, reach out to BZ Watchdog, and he'll try to filter it, because he does help me with my new case intake. And in Washington State, they passed a law that you don't need to take the bar exam. That's right. And they're doing the same thing in California. So all the left wing, the far left states have decided that the bar exam is racist. They've also decided that math is racist. Basically, anything that requires merit or intelligence is automatically deemed racist. And so now you're going to have a portfolio bar exam in California, where you can just get a bunch of other lawyers, probably who want to hire you for really cheap, to sign for you to say that you're qualified. It's called a portfolio. So they're going to do away with the more merit-based programs and go towards the DEI scoring system, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Promote people who aren't qualified so you can prove that you're not a racist. And we've already seen that when they do that, that standards are lowered. I mean, look at Fannie Lewis. I mean, she's a horrible prosecutor, I'm shocked that she actually passed the bar exam. But there are just many, many examples of people being put into positions of power based upon like race or gender instead of their qualifications. And it's absolutely destructive to the country. So you are absolutely right, Chris. That is happening. It's terrifying. And a lot of people are just fleeing California in droves, especially small businesses. We know that the robotics industry was behind the push to increase the minimum wage at fast food restaurants. And so Newsom went ahead and did it. Now what's happening? Well, they're cutting all the hours and buying robots. So you can see what's happening. If you can brainwash a bunch of people with a public school system, well, I'll just vote and I'll get a raise, right? That's not how it really happens, guys. You don't really get a raise. Prices go up and your rent goes up, and ultimately you'll lose your job because you'll be replaced by a robot. Unearned wage increases are one of the primary reasons why this country has gone down the toilet, because the government doesn't get to decide how much you're worth. Your employer does. That's the bottom line, and that's a big problem. So, yeah. So, Stomper, much love, and there's just so much going on. So many things I'd like to talk about more, but I'm just not feeling good. All right, guys. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. Semper Fi, do or die. Maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow. Reach out to BZ if you have anything pressing, if you need to get a hold of me. And then anybody about future shows, I need some material. What do you guys want me to talk about? You know, because pretty much all I do is like catastrophic injury cases, but I know a lot about the law. So just tell me what you want to learn, and I can even do a course on how to become a lawyer without law school. I just need to know, like Brick Jonesy always says, give the people what they want. I just don't know what you guys want. We got Chille out. What's next? What does the future hold for Michael Eline on YouTube? Let me know. I'm really interested to hear what y'all have to say. Semper Fidelis, guys. I'll talk to you soon.